Good morning, students. Today we will discuss about the next module in the wireless sensor network, that is sensing module. Okay. Now, uh, actually, it is mainly categorized as passive sensors and active sensors. Okay. Also, it can be categorized as directional sensors versus omnidirectional sensors. So, directional sensors have particular direction, okay, to access the data, to get the data, whereas omnidirectional sensors will collect the data from all the direction. So, depending on the application, you can select. Okay. Now, sensors can be like passive as well as omnidirectional. Okay. For example, okay, hygrometer. Now, hygrometer is it is to measure the humidity. Okay, some hygrometers measure the temperature as well. Okay, inbuilt in them. Then actually it can be called as thermohygrometer, which is also a passive and omnidirectional sensor. So these are the sensors, like the light, for example. It can come from any direction, but it has to collect the data. The intensity of the light has to be measured, but it is passive. So actually, what do you mean by passive and active? Okay. Direction of omnidirection, I said one is in a particular direction. If the data comes, then only it will collect the data. Omnidirection is all the direction, it will collect the data. Whereas what is passive and what is active? Now, passive sensor means by keeping the sensor in the environment, you're not disturbing the environment. You're not, okay, making any changes in the environment. I repeat, you're not making any changes in the environment. That is passive sensor. Okay, it is not like how you have studied passive component and active component. One which uses the IC, okay, is the active component, doesn't use okay, it is not like that. Active component is one, active sensor is one which makes changes, okay, or alters the environment. So which are those? We will see that. So this light thermometer and all are passive, because by keeping the light sensor or by keeping a thermometer, you are not altering the environment. Now we have also passive and directional sensor. So electronic compass, okay, gyroscope. Now what is gyroscope? It is to measure and maintain the orientation and angular velocity of the object. They can also measure. Now accelerometer is there, but accelerometer uh, doesn't measure the lateral orientation. Okay, it is just uh, like linear. Okay, accelerometer measures only the linear changes, whereas gyroscope measures the lateral orientation, tilt of the object, all those things. So that is one example for passive and directional. Then we have passive and narrow beam. Okay, now CCD camera. So CCD camera is multi-channel intensified image capturing the camera. Okay, it is a customized system. Okay, so it is a camera. Okay, triple axis accelerometer, infrared sensor, and so on. Next we'll come to active sensors. So I said active sensor. What are active sensors? Radar, ultrasonic, etc. So how actually it is going to alter the or make changes in the environment? Radar, okay, it just radiates waves, okay, electromagnetic waves. Those electromagnetic waves will hit the object, and then that reflected wave is going to come back. So what is it? Actually, you are vibrating the uh, you are vibrating the environmental uh, space. Okay, I hope you understood. Ultrasonic, you are radiating the ultrasonic waves. You are radiating the your yeah, okay, ultrasonic waves. So these ultrasonic waves, okay, will vibrate and it will move forward. Okay, those disturbances will be there in the environment. So it is okay. That disturbance will not harm, but okay, that it is changed from the previous state. The environmental conditions are changed from the previous state. That is why we call that as active sensors. Okay. Next is passive omnidirectional. These sensors can measure a physical quantity at the point of the sensor node. Okay, without actually manipulating the environment by active probing. So that's why they called as passive. Moreover, some of these sensors actually are self-powered, okay, in the sense that they obtain the energy they need from the environment. How do they get the energy from the environment? One very good example and most used one is going for the solar energy. Okay, everything now, if you see the satellite, okay, if I consider there are also n number of sensors are there. From where are they getting the energy? Solar panels. Okay, now, next is a passive narrow beam sensors. These sensors are passive as well, but have a well defined direction of measurement. A typical example is camera. Okay, in a given direction, it takes the measurement or it captures the image. Whereas, if you want to capture in a different direction, then manually you need to rotate it. That is why it is called as narrow beam sensors. Next one is active sensors. This is the last group of sensors, okay, which actively probes the environment. Okay, for example, sonar, radar. This is already I have explained. Which generate shock waves, well, by small explosions. Yeah, see, when we say it changes the environment, it doesn't mean that the change will change is permanent, okay, or change is harmful. No, change is temporary because it is just a vibration. Okay, it does not harm anything, but it changes, so we have categorized it as active and passive. Now coming to some of the examples. Okay, see here, the first one is the infrared sensor. This actually most of you will be using at least some of the sensors for your project. Okay, electronic compass is here, then triple axis accelerometer, okay, temperature and humidity sensor, okay, pressure sensor. Those who do go for biomedical project, I think they use these things. Okay, then gyroscope is there, ultrasonic is there. Okay, those who go for embedded, if you want to measure a short distance and all, then you go for ultrasonic sensors. So these are the most used some of the sensors. Next, coming to the next module, that is power supply. Okay, this is very important. While designing this, we need to be very careful because if the power supply module is perfect, if it is delivering the required power to all the other module, then your whole uh, single node, okay, will work. If the power supply is not efficient enough to provide the power, then other nodes, okay, other modules, so however they are efficient, it cannot work. Okay, so it provides as much energy as possible. Has to be designed like that. Okay, it includes the following requirement. Okay, long shelf life, low self discharge. Okay, in itself it should not by itself it should not get discharged. Okay, voltage stability. What do you mean by voltage stability? Now for this power supply we need to give the voltage supply. Okay, for this module, power supply module, we need to give the voltage. In case there is a variation in the supply voltage, still the power supply output has to be constant. Okay, then minimum cost, yeah, that for not only for this, for all modules it is there, but actually here, since it is electrical, it deals with electrical components. Okay, so compactness comes into picture, because all others are electronic, where actually compactness is will be there, but for power supply, since it is a battery, we need to see actually. Then high capacity or volume, efficient recharging at low current. Okay, if at all, yeah, not if at all, it has to be recharged. So how to recharge, how much is the low current? Okay, however, with the low current, if it is able to recharge, then it is good. Okay, then shorter recharge time. Once if it is discharged completely, if it takes another 24 hours to charge, then do you think such sensor, okay, sensor node is efficient? No. For that 24 hours, what am I supposed to do to collect the data? That's the question. So the recharge time should be very small. Okay, if it is able to recharge it within an hour, then actually it is considered as efficient. Okay, we can have the number of, I mean, types. Primary batteries, okay, which are not rechargeable, and secondary batteries, they are rechargeable. Okay, usually we go for rechargeable. In WSN, recharging may or may not be an option. Okay, because recharging should be there. uh, Without that, actually, we keep the sensor at the remote place, so every now and then we cannot go and charge it. Next, coming to the memory module, the last module, okay, in the single node sensor. The memory module of a sensor node has two major tasks. Okay, like you only can decide what are the two tasks, what and all it has to store. One thing is it has to store the acquired data. Okay, data can be directly from the environment, or data can be from the neighboring node. Okay, so but it has to collect the data and it has to store it. So for that we need one memory. Okay, then actually second thing is, see, I said the data, very less cases, very less cases we are sending the data as it is. Otherwise it will be processed and it will be sent, because most of the time it is wireless. Okay, so it will be processed, whether modulation or encoding, encrypting, whatever you want. Okay, that is done. So those programs should be stored, right? The program for modulation, program for encryption should be stored. So program, so two type of data need to be stored. So for that you have to make the arrangement in the memory. Now to get the data, to acquire the data, RAM is suitable. Okay, random access memory. The advantages of RAM is it is fast. Okay, the disadvantages, as you all know, it loses the content, okay, when the power supply is interrupted. Okay, so that is one major disadvantage, but it has to be stored in RAM only. For the second task, that is the to store the program code, okay, we go for read only memory, ROM. Okay, or EPROM, electrically erasable programmable read only memory, because the program is, once it is written, then it can't be altered until, okay, any further change is required by the developer. Then comes the one more kind called flash memory. Okay, this is allowing data to be erased or written in blocks. Okay, so when and all it comes to use, okay, it can also serve as intermediate storage of data in case of RAM is insufficient, or when the power supply of RAM should be shut down for some time. Okay, so flash memory is used like a standby memory slot. So whenever the RAM, okay, faces any problem, that time the data in the RAM is shifted to flash memory. Okay, so it has long read and write access delays. Okay, it requires high energy. Okay, so where and all we use energy, high energy is required. One is microcontroller. Okay, see, each part in the single node, sensor node, consumes energy. So in that, the main components which uses, okay, are microcontroller, one thing is, and radio front ends, that is transceiver, IC, and RF antenna. Antenna also requires, if we are transmitting, then it requires a high, very high power. Okay, if you are receiving, it should be having high sensitivity. Now next is a degree of memory. Okay, RAM, EEPROM, flash memory. So those also consume energy depending on the type of sensors. Okay, yeah, sense temperature sensor, humidity sensor, they also consume energy. Okay, LED, external crystal, USB IC, whatever you use for your application, they are going to consume little, okay, some amount of, I don't say little, some amount of energy. So when it is asked which are the major, okay, modules which consume energy, you can write all actually. Okay, all the nodes you can in that, in nodes plus the node components you can write, because everything needs energy. Okay, next is way out. Now, do not run the sensor node at full operation all the time. Okay, if nothing to do, then switch to power safe mode. This is called as way out. Okay, now actually the question comes is when to go for the way out, and how to wake up again when the when you have to execute once again the task. When to wake up and how to wake up the system. Okay, why are you going to the sleep mode? Because you want to save the energy, no other intention, to save the energy. Okay, but when the task has to be performed, it has to wake up. So how, what are the means to wake up the device? Okay, so in the microcontroller we have studied, we have active, idle mode, then sleep mode. Okay, in radio mode, if you see, that is a transmitter receiver mode, we have turn on or off. Okay, transmitter or receiver, that means you can turn on, you cannot can, you are going to turn on transmitter, turn off transmitter, turn on receiver, turn off receiver. So these many modes are there. So how many power is how much power is required in each of the cases, that you need to check, and accordingly it has to go to the sleep mode. Okay, next, multiple modes are possible. Okay, deeper sleep modes. Now actually if you see in our laptop also, we have a tab or anything you see for that matter, mobile, it goes to different like a power saving modes. You, that actually if you can relate, then it will be easy for you to understand. Okay, after some time, if you are not using, okay, if you are not using, the intensity little bit reduces. Intensity reducing, you are going to the first level of save mode. Okay, intensity of the that brightness reduces, then actually it will switch off the front end. Okay, will switch off, back end it may be running still. If you are not using for the particular programmed period of time, then it will go to the deep sleep mode. Then actually you have to power switch on the power to switch on, then it will resume back. You don't have to reboot it. I hope you are understanding my point. Okay, you can resume all the programs whatever was there at that moment when it got when it went to sleep mode, but it will go to the deep sleep mode. So different companies have taken different number of stages for the sleep mode. Okay, it cannot be as it need not be only active mode, idle mode, sleep mode. In sleep mode also there are again levels which sleep mode it is. Okay, so it strongly depends on the hardware. Then if you go for TI, that's the Texas Instrument MSP 430, four different sleep modes are there. At Mega if you go, six different modes are there. Which mode? Energy saving mode it is. Energy saving mode. Okay, all six modes, I don't tell that all six modes are save modes, sorry, sleep modes, but it is energy saving modes. Okay, Microcontroller actually power consumption is see here, full operation, if it is in a full operation mode, it requires 1.2 milliwatt, whereas if it goes to deepest sleep mode, zero point 0.3 microwatt. Just calculate there how much energy you are saving by introducing the sleep mode. Okay, you're saving a lot of energy. In the deepest mode, deepest sleep mode, okay, wake up by external interrupts only. Okay, internal. Okay, if you use a timer, if you are in the deep sleep mode, after half an hour, okay, again come to the active mode. No, that is not possible. External interrupts. Okay, switching on the power button, then only it will switch on. Okay, whereas if you go for Atmel 128L, then it has a 7 what is that, sleep modes, yeah, sleep modes. If it is in active mode, it requires 15 milliwatt power. If it is in idle mode, 6 milliwatt power. If it is in sleep mode, 75 microwatt. Okay, suddenly it is reduced. Okay, next is switching between modes. Now see, this diagram tells you, okay, this is now the power required. Now this is the power required for the active region. Okay, when the system is in the active region, this is the level of the power required. If it goes to sleep mode, this is the level of the power required. Okay, so power required is less. So now this is the time, this is the time to reach the sleep mode. So this much time is actually, okay, tau down. From, it is a transition time to come from active mode to sleep mode. Okay, next it will be in the sleep mode. When the event has to occur, okay, it from the sleep mode it has to come to the active mode. Okay, so now this is the time period. This is called as E overhead. Actually, we didn't want E overhead. Okay, if for an ideal case, we want zero uh, tau up. Here tau up is there, no? This should be zero. Okay, immediately it should on, but it won't. Okay, practically it won't. It takes certain time. Okay, this is so in that case actually it is considered as a slight delay. Okay, a slight delay from transition from sleep mode to active mode. Okay, that actually matters. Now slight delay in getting down from active mode to sleep mode may not uh, alter my operation. Only thing is it is not saving power, because you see here at the T1 only, if it was this thing at the T1 only, if suddenly if it would have dropped, then I would have saved so much of energy. Okay, that is not there, only that much, but it will not affect my operation, whereas here actually time taken will affect my operation. So I should look into E overhead. E overhead should not be very high. Okay. Now switching between the modes. The simplest idea is greedily switch to lower mode whenever possible. Okay. Time and power consumption required to reach the higher modes is not negligible. That's what I was talking. Okay. Mu up is not negligible. It introduces overhead. Okay. Switching only pays off if E saved. Okay. Now this is the E saved. E save. Okay. Light yellow color. If this is more than this one, E overhead orange color, then it is okay, we consider that, yeah, whatever we have designed, that is a sleep mode, then it is efficient. If E saved is less than E overhead, then there is no point in introducing the sleep mode. Okay, now example for it is event triggered wake up from sleep mode. Okay, now schedule, one more is scheduling problem with uncertainty. Now actually, this is the calculation. Okay, how the E saved is calculated. T event. Okay, here is the T event minus T1, this area. Okay, into P active minus T down, that is tau down. Okay, T down here into P active plus P sleep by 2 plus T event minus T1 minus T down into P sleep. Okay, this is the equation to calculate P saved. How to calculate P overhead? Okay, that is T up. Where is T up? It is here. Okay, T up into P active minus P sleep by 2. It is complicated by the fact that transitions between states take both time and energy. Okay, you agree with that. The usual assumption is that the deeper the sleep state, the more time and energy it takes to wake up again to fully operational state. Okay, so but you have to find out if it is in the microwatt level, if it is consuming. Okay, then actually you can look into it. Hence, it may be worthwhile to remain in an idle state instead of going to deeper sleep state. Okay, that depends on the application. How do you do? Now, energy consumption during transmission. Now, during transmission, where and all energy consumption takes place. Okay, one part is due to RF signal generation, okay, which mostly depends on chosen modulation and target distance, and hence the transmission power. Okay, that is the power radiated by the antenna. That's what I was saying. If you are in a transmission mode, the major concern what you should have is the power delivered by the antenna, because when you are transmitting wirelessly, okay, high power is required by the antenna to transmit to a to farther distance. Second part is due to electronic components. Actually, these are minute. Okay, and you can improve it by a better, okay, designing, optimizing the components for frequency synthesis, frequency conversion, filters, and so on. So on is mean like all the components. Okay, being like while doing in lab, you might have seen any component we see, there is a slight power losses will be there. So those actually are very minute compared to the first one. First one is RF signal generation itself will take a lot of power. Okay, and transmission by the antenna will take a lot of power. Okay. The transmitted power is generated by the amplifier of a transmitter. Okay. Now, the power consumption by the amplifier depends on the architecture, but for most of them, their consumed power depends on the power they are to generate. Okay. Now, two constants are there. One is alpha amplifier and one is beta amplifier are the constants depending on process technology and amplifier architecture. Now this is the formula for it. Okay, amplifier power is equal to alpha plus beta into PTX. Okay, and one example is given. So next thing I will stop till here. Power amplifier. Please go through the PPTs once again. Okay, try to understand. It is theory, but it is easy to understand. Okay, single node sensor. So we studied about the components. Sensor node we studied. Okay, power node, power module we studied. Sensor module we studied. Then memory module we studied today. Okay, then actually where and all, in which area and all power consumption is there, that we have studied. Rest of the thing we will see in the next class. Thank you.